You can watch SeemsGoodMagic.com team members live stream at www.twitch.tv/Inez27. If you enjoy our videos, you can support us by going to SeemsGoodMagic.com, clicking on eBay store, and purchasing some singles or playsets. Thanks and enjoy. Hey, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here for another 8-4 Gatecrash draft. Open a really strong rare. It's definitely the pick. Clan Defiance is pretty amazing spell. Happy to first pick that. What are we really passing? Looks like we're going to be passing a Gruul and Boros signal, unfortunately for us. And a slight Orzhov one as well, but much more Boros and Gruul. Possibly, I mean, this is totally playable in Boros as well, so mostly Boros. But we're most likely at least playing this spell, so we're going to be at least a little bit splash Gruul. So we still might be able to make Simic work, possibly. I'd very much like to play this card, though. Okay, follow-up pick. I think Cinder Elemental is fine. It's a pretty awesome 4-drop. It would give us access to 2 fireballs in our first 2 picks. That's pretty strong. What else is good in here? Aetherize is good. I like Shamble Shark a lot. Denizen, both of them. Raptor. Yeah, Death's Approach. Dutiful Throw. Plenty of good cards in here. Let's just do the Cinder Elemental. Let's get the Fireball on a stick. Ooh, get an awesome pick here. Alright, we're definitely taking the Guild Mage. Awesome 2-drop. Happy to get that. Some pretty good Simic cards. Good Boros cards for sure. But let's take the Guild Mage. Stay on this Gruul path for now. Oh wow. Well, 4th pick Legionnaire is a pretty good sign. So we could do Gruul Boros. I mean, 4th pick Legionnaire, yeah. That's usually a sign that people are not doing that. Mark for Death's fine too. It's actually good. I think I'd rather have the Legionnaire, even though it does make us a little more color intensive. If I pick it up this early, I could get some really solid Boros cards if they keep coming like this. And really, I'm just passing an Act of Treason or Mark for Death. So, alright. Here, I guess we just take the 2-drop. Pretty awesome one. Guildgate, if I wanted to make the 3-color work right away, but I don't have to do that yet. Let's stay on with our solid 2-drops. Okay. Zertos Swine and Warmind Infantry. I mean, Zertos Swine, definitely a strong card. Warmind Infantry is a pretty awesome 3-drop, though. Another Mark for Death. Martial Glory's good. I think it's really just the Infantry or the Zertos Swine. Zertos Swine is quite good. No doubt about it. Warmind Infantry is quite good, too, though. I think I'm actually taking the Swine. I think it's actually better enough that I want to take it. It's definitely a stronger card than Warmind Infantry, but I'm just trying to think if the archetype I want to play is going to be more aggressive or more value. And I think it's early enough where I just want to pick up some value. Wow. Halberdier that late is pretty unheard of. We're absolutely slamming it. Could take the Protector now. Could also take the Ruination Worm. I think I'd rather play the Ruination Worm. This card's cool, but you get a little more bang for your buck. It's a little less color intensive with the Ruination Worm. Alright, so at this point, I'm probably dedicated 3-color. So I am going to be valuing Gates semi-highly. Not this one though. Alright, I guess we just take the Scorchwalker. I guess I could take the Adaptive Snapjaw as well. Snapjaw is probably better than Scorchwalker, honestly. Although I guess that's debatable. We don't have a ton of stuff that evolves the Snapjaw yet. And this is cheaper. It's also good with the Legionnaire. Alright, I convinced myself. We'll do the Scorchwalker. And not a ton here. That's great for us. I guess we'll take the Commando. He's fine. I guess we'll just cut that. It can be annoying sometimes. Table to Mark for Death, which is actually kind of nice. I actually like this card. I think it's totally playable. Alright, I guess we'll take a 6-drop. Don't think we're going to be playing that. But just in case. Okay. We are going to need some mana fixing to make some of these 2-drops work the way we want them to. Wow. Firemane Avenger. Definitely a worthwhile pick. Syndic, Vyashno, Shanktail. Some other good, strong on-color cards. Off-color, we've got Rogue, Charm, Call to Nightwing, Denizen. Plenty of off-color good cards, too. But, yeah, we're just going to slam the Firemane Avenger here. Happily. Verdant Haven's pretty awkward on the splash, but we do have quite a bit of late game now. It's possible we're still 3-color, but more likely we're just going to be Boros. I think I'm still taking the Haven. I could have taken the second. Wow, 3 Ruination Worms. Now I'm kind of tempted to just play the ramp deck of some sort, but it's probably unnecessary. I think at this point we have enough Boros where that shouldn't be too difficult of a deck to make. Wow, another 7-drop. That's pretty sick. Primordial's good. I don't think we're doing it. I think I'd rather do the Ground Assault here. More reason to be in green. Also Krakenura. Let's just take the Ground Assault. This is actually good on the splash. Yeah, alright. I think we are actually doing green in some weird combination. Wow, 2 really strong Boros cards. 3, technically, with the Knight as well. Spark Trooper's cool. I think I'd rather just have the Charm. Charm is a blowout sometimes. A lot of times. Alright, here I kind of like the Gruul Charm. I actually am a big fan of this card. We don't have a ton of flyers. We just have the Legionnaire and the Avenger, right? Yeah. And so it kills flyers, and just randomly it makes all your guys, you know, able to swing in on your opponent. So that alone is a reason to take it here over the aerial maneuver. There's enough upside to Gruul Charm where I like it. I'm not opposed to the second Verdant Haven. We do have quite a bit of late game, and ramping towards Clan Defiance is always good. Could also just take the Edict. I did say we're short on removal, which is absolutely true. So I guess that does make a little more sense. And we're for sure Boros. I think we tabled this last time anyway. Let's take the Edict. Oh, wow. Okay. Now we can take the Halberdier pretty happily. It's another solid 2-drop. Wow, a second Scarred Guildmage? That's pretty crazy. There's really not that much else for us. The aerial maneuver would be fine, but we already have so much. We have so many tricks already. I think we're just taking the Guildmage. I think we're going 3-color. Might seem weird, but Righteous Charge would be good. I think we're probably just taking the Madcap, because this takes games over faster. Righteous Charm is good with 19 creatures, but we have quite a bit of late game creatures, so I think actually the Madcap makes a little more sense here. It's cheaper. Alright, we can take the Edict or the Burst of Strength. Let's take the Edict. We're more likely an Edict sort of deck. We might have enough to just make straight Boros work, but I really don't think... I mean, for sure I'm splashing this. So if I'm splashing this already, what else am I splashing? Possibly the Guild Mages. These might seem awkward on the splash, but if you have 1 green mana, you have enough to turn a land you control into a 4/4 Elemental, which alone makes this card good. So I still think he's a worthy splash. I don't really care about any of the cards in here. per se. I guess, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Alright, we'll take the Naturalize for sideboard. Possibly for sideboard. Thunderfist. Yeah, I like that a little bit more than the Ripscale Predator, just because it's another 5-drop. Maybe so I probably don't have to do the Zertos Swine as much anymore. So I could have had a third Warmind instead of the Zertos Swine. In retrospect, that would have been a better pick. We don't need the Mark for Death anymore because we've already got the Gruul Charm. We do have the Ground Assault, which is absolutely worth a splash. All right, I think at this point we're pretty much we're going to dedicate some of our mana base to green, regardless of the fact that we didn't get any fixing. But I guess I can take a peek at what just the Boros deck looks like, if I in fact have one, which I guess is possible. So I guess technically this is pretty close to because I could also just do, I guess I could do this. I guess that is a deck. That's only 13 creatures though. That's pretty bad. Why is that only 13 creatures? That's weird. Because we've got all these tricks. All right. Well, I mean, I think it actually makes more sense to splash the Zertos Swine instead of the Scar Guildmage, just because it's much more likely that I'll actually have a green mana by turn 5, and this does have more impact than playing this. So perhaps we change the strategy slightly. Take out the Commandos, take out the Mark for Death. Bring in the Zertos Swine. Bring in Ground Assault. And bring in maybe a Gruul Charm or a Ruination Worm. We don't have a ton of finishers, so I guess a Ruination Worm is not out of the question. It's really a question of how much removal do I have? Boros Charm I'm going to count as removal because you can use it as a combat trick. Let's just put all of our non-land cards on the side here. Alright, it looks like I already have quite a bit of tricks and removal, so Gruul Charm maybe not necessarily the main deck. Ruination Worm makes a little more sense to me. We still only have 14 creatures though, is that right? I mean, I guess Cinder Elemental is kind of a removal spell too. Basilica Guard's not a very good attacker, so maybe I want a better creature than that. Maybe another 6-drop, but we don't have any ramp beyond the Verdant Haven, which doesn't really make that much sense in this deck. It's a little too color committing. I could play a second. I'm not terribly opposed to a second Ruination Worm. It's a little bit clunky though. We don't have any ramp. Clan Defiance is kind of like a 5-drop. That's the way I usually look at it. Like at 5 mana, it's doing everything you want it to do. Kill most flyers, a ground guy of your choice, and deal 3 damage to him. So Clan Defiance at 5 mana is a pretty solid spell. So I guess I could top out at 2 Ruination Worms. I'm not horribly opposed to that. It feels like it's too many tricks for having 14 creatures. That's my issue. I have the double Guildmage, but like I said, they seem hard to play on the splash. I think Martial Glory, how many 2-drop creatures do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4 2-drop creatures, and then 3 3-drop creatures, and 3 4-drop. Well, yeah, this list looks alright. Like I said, we're a little bit short on creatures, but the creatures we do have are very good. And we have excellent sideboard options, the Gruul Charm and the Basilica Guards for more removal or blockers as necessary. Naturalize for pesky enchantments. Um, yeah, honestly, I'm not opposed to running the list like something like this. Um, so definitely a ton of red, and let's just move. We have 5 spells then that need green, but they're all later. So I wouldn't need, and we have the prophetic prism. So let's see. They say 3 forests, and we'll have the 4th mana source with the prophetic prism. Yeah, that could be good. These all require white and red. So we do need to have white as well. Maybe we can do something like this. So it's really like 9 red sources with the prophetic prism, 6 white sources with the prophetic prism, and 5 green sources. That might be acceptable. Okay, I think I'm going to run it like this. This deck looks pretty good. It's a little bit weird because we did end up with a good low curve. We're a little bit trick heavy, so we do need to see one of our 7 2 or 3 drop creatures pretty early on. Scorchwalker, I'm never a huge fan of playing, but I really don't feel like playing a 3rd Ruination Worm either. That seems a little bit awkward. And another 5 drop feels awkward when we don't have a ramp spell that I feel comfortable playing. I mean, perhaps I could do the Verdant Haven, but just like I said, it feels so wrong when this is your actual splash color. It does get us to Ruination Worm faster, though. How many other mana sinks do we have? Really? The Syndic, sort of. Not a ton beyond that. I mean, these are mana sinks just because they're 6 mana, but in a 17 land deck, you can get to 6 mana, and these are good finishers. Yeah, I mean, this is a good mana sink, too. There might be an argument for the Verdant Haven, but like I said, I'm short on creatures. We're a little bit trick heavy. Combat tricks feel a lot weaker when you're doing a ramp idea as well. I think I'm just going to stick to this sort of combat trick, some good removal, win through fat creatures or early quickness. We have both. We have kind of the best of both worlds there, which is nice. Yeah, this looks pretty good. So the only thing that's really holding this deck back is its mana base, because we didn't manage to pick up any gates, and the only real fixing we have is a single prism. So that's not ideal, but thankfully the deck's not like super color intensive. At least at 2 mana, we're pretty much strictly Boros. Ground Assault doesn't usually need to be played until turn 5 or 6, and then we really don't need green until later. So yeah, this looks fine. All right, we're running it like this. I think I actually might. I think I'm going to add one more plains. Might be a little bit greedy, but we really do need to hit that second turn white source to hit these halberdiers, which are pretty important on turn 2 for putting some early pressure down. So I guess I do really need a white source early, and we don't really need the green early. So I guess it makes more sense. I think maybe I do the Predator over the Ruination Worm too. Just less spells that require green. Plus, I mean, they pretty much do the same thing. I actually don't know which one I like more. Probably the Predator.